All right. So the halachos of Purim begin with the laws about giving the half shekel. There's a discussion when the half shekel is supposed to be given. Some say the half shekel is supposed to be given on the day of Purim, while others maintain that the half shekel should be given before Purim. Our custom is to give the half shekel before mincha on Purim. Reish Lakish says, why do we give the half coins now? So the Gemara actually says that the sacrifices on Tainus Esther.
Oh, thank you.
Tainus Esther, sorry about that.
Just want to see if we listen.
Before mincha Tainus Esther, we give the half shekel. Why do we give it then? So it's a couple of things. Number one is the new sacrifices that are purchased from the funds that are collected in Adar, and those funds are put into the Beis Hamikdash's kupa, the bank, so to speak, in the Beis Hamikdash. The new funds are there in the month of Nisan to pay for the new sacrifices of the new year. The new year starts in the month of Nisan. So on Echad Ba'adar Mashmin Al Shkalom, on the first day of Adar, they announce everyone should give the half shekel. So why don't we give the half shekel on day one of Adar? If it's about giving for the new funds, and always when we had the mitzvah in the physical sense, and the Beis Hamikdash was standing, we gave the half shekel on the first day of Adar. So why do we wait until Purim? So Reish Lakish says, Hashem knew that there would be Haman who was going to try to annihilate the Jewish people by offering Achashverosh 10,000 coins, 10,000 measures of silver. And so Hashem said that the silver Jewish people donated for the half shekel, which also equals the same amount, that is an antidote for the money that Haman was offering Achashverosh. That by giving the coins to the Beis Hamikdash, that would be an antidote for this. So, who has to give it? It's an interesting thing. You'd think, who should give it? First of all, how much do you have to give? Before we get to who should give it. For redeeming the firstborn, we know you have to give 5 selah. And when you give 5 selah, it has to be the actual measurement of the silver. But here, you only have to give a half of the coin of the currency of the country that you live in, because we're only doing a remembrance of commemoration of the half shekel. So it doesn't have to be silver; it just has to be a half coin. It's just that in America there is no half coin extant now, so we use the half coins that were out before. That were many of them were silver, but it doesn't have to be silver. I think the Rebbe did use though a silver half coin. So
says it's best to use silver.
Okay, if that's the Rebbe does, and that's okay, makes sense because that's the Rebbe does. But it doesn't have to be the value of the silver. In other words, you don't have to give more than $1.50. Oh, why $1.50? You should only give a half a coin. Why do we give 3? So you give 3 because the Torah mentions the word half 3 times. The Torah mentions the word truma 3 times. The 3 different donations. There was one donation that was given to purchase the silver sockets in the Mishkan. There's a second donation that was given for the sacrifices every year. And the third donation that was given for the different items that were used in the Mishkan. Since the Torah uses the word donation 3 times, therefore we give 3 half coins. Now, who should give? Who is obligated to give the half coin? So it says in the Torah, who is obligated to give the half coin? Those who are 20 years old. So it would seem the only ones who are obligated to give the half coin would be those who are over 20. However, the Magen Avraham says no. He says everyone over the age of bar mitzvah is also obligated to give the half coin. Why? If we're commemorating the half coin that was given in the Torah, so it should be those who are over the age of 20. The answer is one of the donations that was given in the time of the Mishkan was for those over 20 to count the Jewish people who were over the age of 20. Everyone gave a half coin who was over the age of 20, so they should be counted. But those under 20 weren't counted. So therefore, at that time, only those over 20 were gave. However, for the sacrifices that were purchased in the Beis Hamikdash every year, everyone over the age of 13 was also obligated to give for the sacrifices. The Rambam is actually interesting. The Rambam, he says it's a biblical commandment that everyone must give a half coin for the sacrifices every year. And all the commentators are wondering, Where does it say in the Torah you have to give a half coin every year for the sacrifice? It doesn't say clearly in the Torah, and yet the Ram calls this a mitzvah. So although Beis Mikdash isn't yet standing, they be rebuilt immediately, mamish. But until the Beis Mikdash is rebuilt, it's only commemoration for the donation that was given for the sacrifices. And since that obligation is on every Jew over the age of bar mitzvah, therefore also the commemoration for it is also for everyone over the age of bar mitzvah. And we give again 3 half coins because the 3 times the Torah uses the word machzis, the 3 times the Torah uses the word donation. Where do those funds go to? So just
male only then?
Huh?
It's male only?
Male?
Yeah. Not male.
Oh, so very good. So so in the Mishkan there was also donations that were given by women and children as well. It says that everyone should give, men, women, and children should give for all different parts of the Mishkan. For the sacrifices, indeed, it was only those who were male over the age of bar mitzvah. But everyone else also gave for every part of the Beis Hamikdash. So the previous Rebbe had a custom to give for his wife as well. And the Rebbe writes in the Sefer HaMenhagim that's only the custom of the Rebbe, not the custom of everybody. However, later the Rebbe said that this is something we all should do. Interesting thing that I mentioned when he said this. He says that parents should give their children lots of money. So the children should want to be able to give from their own money for the half coin. So the Rebbe, he just, as an aside, parents should give their children lots of money. And they should have so much money that they shouldn't be worrying about, I have to give them $1.50 for this. So, but the children should give of their own money. However, it is the custom to give on the behalf of your spouse as well, and to give on the behalf of your children under the age of bar mitzvah as well. When you give the half coin, you see people picking them up, putting them down, picking them up, putting them down. What are they doing? How many times do they pick it up and put it down? So there's no real reason to pick it up and put it down more than once. Why do we have to pick it up and put it down even more once? The idea is like this. You have to give 3 half coins. Do you have 3 half coins? No. In the shul they have 3 half coins. So what are you going to do? You go to the shul, you're going to purchase the half coins from the shul. So you put down $1.50, you pick them up, now you own them, and now you're giving these coins to the shul. I think I mentioned that unlike the gifts to the poor on Purim, the half shekel money is supposed to go, just like it was used for the Beis Hamikdash, so it's also supposed to be used for the miniature Beis Hamikdash for a shul. So so you only have to put down the coins. If you had 1 coin, so then 1 half coin, you have to buy that coin 3 times and then pick it up 3 times. You have 3 coins, just pick them up at once and put them down. And it works in Vegas too. Okay, we'll have one. Anyway, so however, if you're buying for your children, you're buying for your wife, then you have to pick it up again for each person. The Rebbe, they say, the Rebbe Gornis Al-Vashom said the Rebbe did this 3 times. It could be the Rebbe did it 3 times on behalf of some other people, on behalf of his wife, on behalf of himself, and on behalf of someone else, I don't know. Or it could be that there's some spiritual reason the Rebbe did it 3 times. So that's why there are those who do it 3 times, and they do it 20 times if they have 7 children, 21 times, whatever. But officially, the only reason to pick it up is to purchase it and to put it back down for each person that you are doing it for. Rabbi Riva is going to look at me funny when I get all OCD about this on Erev Finest Esther, as he does every year. Anyways, moving right along. So,
Rabbi, the amount is $1.50?
$1.50, yes. Okay.
No, you can put $3.
You're allowed to put more money, of course, but for each person, you put $1.50.
$4.50 is best.
Really?
I guess we have to have coins from the...
Okay. Besides the mitzvah of the custom, the Machzah Shekel, we now have the 4 mitzvahs of Purim, which all start with a Mem. The mitzvah of Mikra Megillah, mitzvah of hearing the Megillah. The mitzvah of Mishleach Manas, the mitzvah of giving 2 kinds of food to another person. And unlike the popular myth that was populated since I'm a child, they have to eat 2 different brachas. 2 different kinds of food means 2 foods which have 2 different brachas. That's not true. Any 2 different kinds of foods are kosher, even if they have the same bracha. You don't have to have 2 different brachas. And you have to give gifts to 2 poor people. Now, usually...
So 2 different mitzvahs.
2 different mitzvahs. Mashleach Monas, Matanas Avyenim, Mikra Megillah, and the mitzvah of the Suda, Mishteh, having a meal on Purim. So, ordinarily, we say a Shachiyanu on a new mitzvah that we don't do so often. On Pesach, we say the Shachiyanu for the mitzvahs of the day in the Kiddush. On Sukkot, we say Shachiyanu for the mitzvahs of the day in the Kiddush as well. And on Purim, we also say Shachiyanu when we say that we read the Megillah. What if you don't have a Megillah? What if you don't have a Megillah? Should you say Shechianu without a Megillah, just because of the Yontif? On Yom Kippur, what do we do on Yom Kippur? We say Shechianu. On Yom Kippur, we say Shechianu without any mitzvah at all. So, what about someone who doesn't have a Megillah? Someone doesn't have a Megillah, should they say Shechianu? So the Yavit says, the Rebbe mentions him in a letter, it seems like this is the Rebbe's opinion, that if you don't have Megillah at all, and you should say Shechianu for the day of Purim, just because even though you're not doing it with any mitzvah, you're just saying Shechianu, thank Hashem for the day that has arrived. Since you don't have the ability to say Shechianu on the Megillah, say Shechianu just because. However, the Magen Avram, he says that there's no Shechianu without a Megillah. According to the Alter Rebbe, you say Shechianu one time on the night of Purim. You don't say Shechianu again on the day of Purim. Only once. That says in the Siddur, say Shechianu one time. However, the Tzemach Tzedek says say Shechianu a second time. That's why we say Shechianu for the main reading the Megillah, which is by day, and therefore we say Shechianu a second time. When you say Shechianu, the Shechianu in the nighttime doesn't work for the mitzvahs of the day. All the mitzvahs of the day are not at night. You can't do the mitzvah of eating the meal of Purim on the night of Purim. Or Shalach Manas at night. You can't do the Tanas Avyanim, give to the poor at night. The only time you do the mitzvahs of Purim is by a day of Purim. And the Shechianu at night won't work.
Except for Megillah, you listen to it at night too.
And you do the mitzvah Megillah at night, right? But the main mitzvah Megillah is by day, and the mitzvah Megillah by day, according to the Alter Rebbe, you're not saying Shechianu. So why don't you say Shechianu? Why don't you say Shechianu for all these mitzvahs that we do? Why is no Shechianu according to the Alter Rebbe? According to many others also is no Shechianu. The reason no Shechianu for these mitzvahs is because they're not that novel. We always have festive meals. That's the Jewish custom for every holiday, right? They tried to kill us, chas v'shalom. We won, let's eat. This is the Jewish custom. So we always are eating. Therefore, there's no special Shechianu for the meal. There's no Shechianu for giving tzedakah. You can give tzedakah every day. In fact, that's one of the interesting interpretations of the words matanas lavyedim. We don't say tzedakah lavyedim. We say matanas lavyedim, gifts to the poor. One of the interpretations of that phrase, I think it's from the Rebbe, is that you give a gift to the poor people to thank them for the opportunity the whole year to give them tzedakah. It's not considered a tzedakah. It's considered a gift. Why do you give a gift to someone? You give a gift to someone because you appreciate them. So you're giving gifts to the poor people, thanking them for the opportunity that you're able to give them tzedakah. It's thanking them for being in your life. So it's a matana, it's a gift, it's not tzedakah. But since it's so similar to tzedakah, it's the same action as tzedakah, and so to Mishach Manas, you give food gifts to people, you make a festive meal, and therefore there's no special Shechianu for those mitzvahs. Yes?
Can you, if you don't have a Megillah, you don't have any other reason to say Shechianu, can't you take a new fruit or something and say Shechianu and have Purim in mind?
Yeah, for sure you could. Sure you could. Might be a good idea to, or that we could fill all opinions, because according to other opinion, you can't say Shechianu just because it's the day of Purim. It's probably a good idea to do what like you're saying, because only the Yavit says this. The Magen Avram disagrees, says you can't say Shechianu on the day itself. So it sounds like a good idea what you're saying. But the Rebbe mentions the way the Rebbe mentions it sounds like the Rebbe's opinion is like the Yavit's. Okay, on Hanukkah, if you don't have candles, the Yavit says the same thing. You don't have candles, say Shechianu on the day of Hanukkah, or go with barrel and have a new fruit. Okay. If all the mitzvahs of the day, again, could only be done by day, you can't do them the night before. What about a situation where there's no one poor? Baruch Hashem, Mashiach has come, and everyone is rich. You know what to give tzedakah to. So you put it on the side, and you can't put it on the side before Purim. You put it on the side on Purim to the mitzvah on Purim itself. There are those opinions which say you can do it in advance, and you could give to someone who'll distribute it for you on Purim. But the best is, in addition to that, in other words, you want to give to someone who is really in need, and therefore you may want to give it to someone who knows people are in need, and you want to trust them they're going to do the mitzvah for you. You could do that. But in addition to that, you should also set aside money on Purim itself. That way you're actually doing an action of Matan Savyenim on Purim itself, not just doing it in advance. The meal of Purim, Chabad Hasidim are very busy on Purim. They're doing Mivtzayim, they're doing the Shalach Manas, giving to other people, they're reading Megillah, other all parts of Los Angeles and beyond, and they have to give the meal of Purim like everybody else. So what do? I thought
Take a sandwich.
That's what I did. I thought, okay, so before Shkia, I'll wash, I'll have a meitzi before Shkia, and I'll continue the meal later. That's what I did. I was in Manhattan one Purim. I washed in some corner of the Chabad house in Manhattan or somewhere, in the Empire State Building, wherever I was. And I went on the train. I'll finish the meal when I get there. Doesn't work. Purim is not like Shabbos and like Yontif. By Shabbos and Yontif also, it's, for example, on Friday afternoon, halacha is that you're allowed to daven earlier, although the Alter Rebbe says that we daven later. But what about the meal of Shabbos? The Alter Rebbe says the meal of Shabbos could also be eaten earlier before Shkia. However, he says it's better to eat after it's already nightfall. It's good to be machmer. However, that's only for Shabbos that you're allowed to fulfill the mitzvah of Shabbos before Shabbos, because you can taste the Shabbos. You could add the Shabbos. And so, if you wash before Shkia on Yontiv, you say Yalva Yalva in benching. Why? Because it continues until you end Yontiv, it's still Yontiv. But for Purim, it doesn't work that way. Purim, the meal of Purim, we still celebrate the night after Purim, and we fabreng, and it's Shushan Purim, and for sure. But the meal of Purim, the main components of the meal of Purim have to be eaten before Shkia. You can't wash before Shkia and eat the main parts of the meal after Shkia. You have to have the main parts of the meal, the fish, the flesh, the meat, before Shkia. At the meal of Purim, just one more thing. It's a customary on Purim. We have two foods we eat on Purim. What are the two foods we eat on Purim? Hamantashen, and kreplach. So the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch and Birchas Hanenin, it's like Yom Kippur, right? So it's interesting that the Alter Rebbe says it's like a big switch. In Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says that the bracha for Hamantashen and kreplach are one bracha. He switches in Birchas Hanenin, and we actually do the opposite. Very briefly, Hamantashen, the Alter Rebbe says, should be hamaitzi. Why should they be hamaitzi? Because hamantashen, they satisfy you. It's a thick dough. However, since we make a hamantashen with fruit juice, we don't make a hamantashen with water. Therefore, our hamantashen are mezenis. The Alter Rebbe says kreplach are not made with fruit juice; they're made with water, and therefore the Alter Rebbe says the kreplach should be hamaitzi. However, we make kreplach, we fry our kreplach, and since they're fried, therefore they are also mezenis. Okay. Any other questions?
Why do you have? You said that the main components of the meal need to be eaten during the day.
Yeah.
You're mechuyev to have meat on Purim.
You're supposed to have a festive meal. Festive meal on the surface means to have what you have on a festive meal.
So in theory, you could have